Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us here on The Pulse. Well, let's start from education, because the Ministry of Education said it will not act on concerns raised by the Ghana National Association of Private Schools over the CSBC result until the Chief Examiner's report is released. Private school operators have questioned the credibility of the result, arguing that despite extensive preparation and strong internal assessment, many candidates' grades do not accurately reflect their abilities, particularly in the core subject. The association has also cited inconsistencies in the grading process, including claims that some candidates received results in subjects they did not register for.
The National Association of Private Schools have been concerned with a myriad of concerns coming from our members across the country, and that include results that we assume and we perceive not to be matching to the standard and then the capabilities of what the student delivered during the examination period, what they've written. And just like the instance you mentioned, just imagine an instance where a student registered for 3 in Volta region, and the examination results come, then the student rather had ever 3 in ever that C did not register or sit for, then we have 3 that the fellow actually registers and sat for, get to have 7 in that. We believe that all these and other many concerns are concerns of serious indication that there are credibility issues with the results, and we hope and urge all authorities involved to really consider their credibility level and rectify whatever concerns or whatever mishap that might have happened during the marking or scoring processes. We've all seen the performances of various private school children across the country, even our wards in our homes, comparing that to public institutions or public school children. We know the benchmark that they carry, and we know the results that they merit. And so to check the proportionate passing rate of private schools this year, then you compare that to the public, then you check genuine concerns from individual students who have sat for the examination, just like I mentioned earlier. It is concerning. It is indeed concerning. We don't want to believe there is anything deliberate or anything that is intended to disadvantage private school children. Mm-hmm. I mean, let me shock you that the private school sector in Ghana represents about 49% of established school establishment across the country. And so we largely are augmenting government's inability to provide education across the country, mm-hmm. and we are supporting education largely. And so when some of these things come, it discourages the operators of private schools, it discourages parents, and it equally demoralizes the spirit of students who sit for examinations in various private schools.
Well, the ministry, however, insists it will wait for the chief examiner's report before deciding on any further action. Hashbin Mohammed is the press secretary for the ministry.
I wouldn't sit here and entirely dismiss their concerns. However, it is important that after every exams, you wait for the chief examiner's report. I think the chief examiner's report will give details as to the performance of students in the BEC. Until that, it will be very, very difficult for anyone to make a meaningful analysis of the results. And at the same time, when I am having difficulties to understand certain things, because when examiners take maybe the answer booklets of any student, right, the answer booklet does not indicate this child or this student is from a public or is from a private school. They mark the script based on the information available on the face of the answer booklet. Formally, such a complaint hasn't come to the attention of the Education Ministry, but media reports, I've heard reports in the media, and then I've also had some parents who have called me and they have complained that the proprietors of their schools are saying that it is like some of the private schools are being discriminated against. And I want to calm them down and then only advise them that they should wait for the chief examiner's report. And I think the Honorable Minister will not hesitate to direct the Ghana Education Service maybe to put up a committee to investigate that
these complaints, all right?
Yes, but for now, I think let's all wait for the chief examiner's report.
Meanwhile, parents have about a month to prepare for the next stage of the admission process, with placement under the computerized school selection and placement system expected by the end of the month. Coordinator of the placement system, Sharif Suleiman, says placement will be released by August 31, 2026.
Placement activities has to do with the sensitization and the choice selection, which actually started yesterday and would end on Friday, the 7th of August, 2026. Then from there, we take the choices, the data from them, then we glean those data, pick their results from WAEC, then match them against available vacancies in the various secondary schools. Then we do the placement for them. After the placement, I mean, usually there are issues, concerns that we need to deal with. Then we set up the resolution centers and address those issues for students to report back to school on the 18th of September 2026. So for this year, they are making 8 choices. So they are required to make not more than 2 category A schools, choose not more than 2 category A schools, not more than 3 category B schools, and not more than 3 category C schools. Once that is done, I mean, based on the results you have, it should tell you your strengths, whether or not you are eligible or qualified for a category A school. The results as they are, we match the aggregates of the candidates to the available spaces and the programs in the various choice of schools. By our schedule, we're expecting that placement should be released on the 31st of August 2026. So the reason we want to release on the 31st, at least we still have a window of 2 weeks, 3 weeks to deal with the issues and address them, for them to get them ready to report to school on the 18th of September.
Well, let's bring in the Ghana National Association of Private Schools, Justice King Aisel. He speaks for the association. And also joining me is the chairperson on Parliament Education Committee, Peter Nocho Kotoy. Grateful to have you. We'll also be speaking to the executive director of the Institute of Education Studies, Dr. Peter Ante. Welcome to the conversation this afternoon. Let me start with you, Justice King Aisel. You have raised concerns over the credibility of results, citing some inconsistencies in the grading system. What really is your basis for that position?
All right, so thank you very much. Let me seize this opportunity to thank Joy News and viewers for this opportunity. We have different type of assessment types, but particularly what we are using right now is the norm referencing, which have been used for some time. It was the case that only the best move to the next level in our educational system. So in the past, through the olden days when we used to have this common entrance, or A-level and all that. But along the line, with the introduction of FQ, basic education has become compulsory. Everybody has to attain that. Even that, we further stretch it to mean that basic education will have to terminate after SHS. So every child is expected to move on to the next level. In doing all these things, assessment type hasn't changed. The C9 system is simply this, that you're comparing the children with other cohorts, so that 4% of the top tier will be given grade 1 in terms of what marks they score. So supposing you wrote the examination and like have been done, and you score 80, for example, and then you don't come within the 4%, you're not awarded grade 1. Parents don't see the raw score, they see the grades. And so this actually means that the system is not as transparent as the new reforms that have taken place over the period. We expect that, like the SHS, it should be clear. If grade 1 is from 100 to 75, let it be so. So that in the event that our quality of education is dropping, we can all stakeholders come together and see how we can be able to help improve on this.
Are you suggesting that with the current system, reform that we have, even you as educators, you're unable to actually track the actual data in terms of performance of your students. Is that the point you're making?
Exactly so. Exactly so, because of the non-referencing method that is being adopted. So you cannot even track that. And we find that inconsistent with the changes that have occurred over the period. So we are almost like putting a new wine into an old wine skin. It doesn't agree with. You see, even more serious to that is this. What we are guaranteeing as rights to education for all, with the system we are using currently, 4% of children who write BEC are denied opportunity of going to SHS because anybody who scores 9 in English or in mathematics will not be placed. It might not be because of performance. It's just because of a grading system that is outmoded. Simply that.
Is this the first time as private schools you have a concern regarding the grading system?
We raised this concern over the period, but particularly with the introduction of the new Act 2020, Educational Act 2020. The working Ghana Education Service ceased to follow the strategy that we headed over the period.
I think I'm losing you. If you can make that point again. Well, we are speaking to Justice Kineso. He speaks for the Ghana National Association of Private Schools. We'll try to rework our lines and then get to, speak to him. But let me bring in the Chairperson of Parliament Select Committee on Education, Peter Nocho Kotoi. Welcome to the show. I believe you've heard from the private schools. But I'm told we have Justice Kinesa back. Before I come to you, Justice Kinesa, you were making a point. Can you land on the point you're making?
We have Ghana Education Service being the one in charge of pre-tertiary. By the Act 2020, that structure has changed. So we do not have private schools having to do anything with Ghana Education Service with their structure. And so it couldn't be that our children will pay BEC fees in full and then being told that they are working on the instruction of Ghana Education Service. That is an insult. It does not help anybody. So there are a lot to be done in this area. We've made complaints, but I think that it's our time. We gave this new government, which with the person of
Justice Kinesa, we seem to be having some challenges with your connectivity there. But let me go to Peter Nocho Kotoi. The private schools are raising concerns over certain reforms that is actually affecting the credibility of the result, especially when it comes to private school candidates. First of all, has this concern come to the attention of your committee?
Yeah, thank you very much, and good afternoon. Yeah, it has not officially come to our attention, but at a committee meeting today, we just ended a 2-day capacity building program for the Committee on Education. The matter was set, so we decided as a committee to invite both parties, that is WAEC and the National of Private, so that we can listen to them, because it's a serious activity we think as a committee should be immediate, because we don't, the perception that will go out may not well anybody. So we have decided that next week we will be inviting WAEC as well as the private school, and especially NACA, and then a few other.
And how do you intend to really address these concerns they are actually making?
Yes, we want to listen to both parties, the source of the allegation and then the response from WAEC. We want to listen to them. Yes.
As it stands now, the committee is not fully aware of the concerns being raised by the Ghana National Association of Private Schools?
We are aware. We have heard them on social media and news items, but officially we have not received any petition. But we realize that we cannot wait for any petition to be given out to us in view of the level of allegation. We need to do something immediately about it. So that's why we have taken the decision to meet them next week. Okay, but you've just heard from Justice Kinesel right here on this platform. What do you make of the concerns he's been raising? Well, it will be difficult for me now to draw any conclusion. We need to listen to both sides. WAEC will have to explain if the allegation is true or not true before we can draw any conclusion or any comments. So to be fair to both parties, I would like to keep quiet until we meet the two parties. Right, but he's also raising concerns about the reforms. I mean, attributing the problems to the current reform we have. Do you agree with his position on that? I said earlier that we are inviting NACA, which is in charge of the curriculum and the reforms, National School Inspection Authority, and the WAEC itself. So at a table that will all converge, I think the truth or otherwise will emerge there. So excuse me to do that, then probably we'll get back to explain better to the public. Thank you so much, Peter. Kwesi Nochokoto is the chairperson of Parliament Select Committee on Education. Well, I have the executive director of the Institute of Education Studies, IFEST, Dr. Peter Anti. Grateful to have you here on the pulse. Now, you've heard from the private schools. Do they have any point at all in the concerns they are raising?
I think for about 3 years now, this issue has been coming up, that the private schools believe that something is being done negatively against them. I don't know how far they have taken this. I heard this report last year, and this year too, they are speaking the same language. I wish that they take it up to the relevant authorities. The unfortunate thing is that WAEC seems to be regulating itself. So there's no, higher body that supervises WAEC. What they can do, as I've heard some of their leaders saying, is to write a petition to the Ministry of Education and also the Select Committee on Education in Parliament, so that some investigation can be conducted. As it stands now, this still seems like an allegation, and unless there's an investigation, none of us will be able to ascertain the truth in what is being reported. So you have identified a regulatory gap there. Beyond the petitions and what you're suggesting, what would be the permanent solution to address this particular concern of the private schools? I think over the years we have said that WAEC needs a regulator. We believe that some of the issues that come up every year, you will need a higher body to sit and then call the parties together and then supervise whatever challenge that has been brought up. So maybe this is an opportunity for the ministry and the relevant authorities to look at the whole WAEC structure and see whether there could be an authority or supervisory body that looks into the activities of WAEC and certain concerns are addressed when they come up. For the private schools, I think they also need to do some soul searching. I believe that over the years, the perception that private schools are always supposed to perform better has been with us, and they need to step back a little and see whether some of the schools are doing what they used to do over the years to get that kind of outcome that they were getting. I think that it is not enough to always say that somebody is marking your students down. It's a very big allegation. I don't see why WAEC would isolate private schools and say that it's something that beats my imagination. But of course, anything can happen. Anything is possible. So I'm thinking that apart from they writing to the Ministry of Education and the Parliamentary Select Committee, they also need to do some soul searching and see whether the things that they used to do, they are still doing. What are some of the things that they used to do that gives them the better? That would be at the individual school level. So the schools that are thinking or that are complaining that their performance are dipping, they need to sit down and look at it and ask.
You have done a lot of research in the space. What have you identified in the past with regards to what they've been doing?
So the private schools have been very top-notch in terms of supervision and monitoring. Okay, so when it comes to day checking, teaching and learning and other things, it's been top-notch. One thing that I've observed, and this even came up about a month ago, there's some work that we are doing. There seems to be a lot of assessment. I mean, they call it mock. A lot of mock activities that the students do, but the teachers do not have the opportunity to finish marking them before they move on to the other one. Let me give you an example. So within a month, they can do about 4 or 5 different tests. What these tests are supposed to do is to give the teacher an information to know where they will help the student. So if you do the first one and you don't have the opportunity to mark and then analyze it and use the feedback to improve your teaching, and then once you are marking, you are asked to do a second one, it makes the numerous tests very, very useless because you will not be able to use the test to improve your teaching and learning. This is something that we found out in a study that we are doing. And that is solely among some of the private schools. So that's why I'm saying that they should do some soul searching and see whether the things that they used to do that gave them that kind of result, they are still doing it, or they have relented on those things and they are doing other things also.
There are also some school of thought that the private schools allegedly used to bribe their way through the system. And it appears the WAEC is now doing much more to curb that. It's part of the reason why they are seeing the kind of result they are seeing. From where you sit, are those school of thought, valid?
Unfortunately, I cannot confirm this thing. So it means that they are saying that the private schools were engaging in examination more practice.
Exactly.
And because of that, they were performing well, and now they cannot do. I can't say anything about this. But what we need to do, you see, as a researcher, what we will need to do is to just get the list of the schools that are complaining and then do a trend analysis of their performance, link them to their practices in the school. This thing, the private schools should get people to, do scientific work for them so that when they are speaking, they will be able to project that these are the things that we have been doing over the years, these are the results that we were getting, and from 3 years now, this is what we are seeing, and that is why we are suspecting this. I think these kinds of data should be put out for all of us to, assess and see whether truly what they are saying is true. Again, we should also be very careful to generalize. Maybe it's 1 or 2 or 3 schools that are having these challenges and they are putting it out there. So I would entreat the private schools to give us data, raw data for us to speak to. Give us a trend analysis of the performance of their private schools over the years for us to see that over the past 3 years, their performance are dipping, and the dipping is solely because WAEC has decided to mark them down. That's the kind of conversation we would want to have with them when they come up with such issues.
Dr. Pitanti, please stay with me for the next few minutes. Let me speak to Justice Kineso. You agree with Dr. Pitanti when he says that you need to give us data. First of all, let's find out from you, is it a few private schools or it's cut across the country?
Now, it cuts across in the sense that, you see, what is grade 1? What do you mean by grade 1? Is it tangential on performance? Or is it somebody saying that comparing you to Kofi, I'm giving you grade 1? What is grade 1? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Hello?
Okay, so that's a big question. So a child knows that he could do well. Having to go to the level where we can therefore say that maybe 100 to 80 will be awarded grade 1, so that we are looking at the standards. Why are we not doing that? What is this 4% thing representing grade 1? What does it mean today to our parents? What does this 7% representing grade 2 mean to our parents, or 12% being grade 3? So I think that's where we need more reforms, and that will bring greater transparency in the work of WAEC. So right now, as it is, there's no transparency. And WAEC by itself, until we started the fight for the 30% placement gap, which has become 15% now. We thank the current government for the yeoman's work. WAEC knows that private school pays for the BEC while public schools are being taken care of by the government. But WAEC is reluctant to give us data on performance on private from public, except that when it comes to collecting money from us, that one they can distribute, they can do the distinctions. And they can do the distinction again when Ghana Education Service want to do placements. Why?
Oh dear, we seem to be losing Justice Kine.
Level of fairness in the process. We seem to be discriminating. We shouldn't. Can you hear me now? They shouldn't be discriminating between public and private.
Where does the discrimination lie? That's what we are struggling to understand. Where is the discrimination then? Because the private schools tell us.
So private school students pay their BEC registration in full. They pay. Public does not pay. When the results are out, GS have privy that they have the opportunity of seeing what the results are for the placement purposes. We don't. That data is not open to us. That also is unfair. Then, like I said, in WAEC itself, with the kind of non-referencing system that they are using, what is grade 1? How do you call 4% of the top tier as grade 1? What happens to the actual scores and the performance? What happens to it? Why are we comparing children in order to grade them instead of looking at their performance? Why are we doing that? Those are the questions that we still don't understand, and those are not very transparent.
All right. Thank you so much. Justice Kineso speaks for the Ghana National Association of Private Schools. I'll give you the final word, Dr. Peter Anti.
My friend on the other line is talking about the Senate system.
I think you
has been with us for all these years. So if their complaint is because of the Senate system, I'm sorry. He's got no point because it's used for all students who write the BEC. We have complained about the Senate system years ago. Around 2015, a lot of articles were authored by our institution on this Senate system. That is what we've been using, all of us. When you wrote BEC, it was the Senate system. Okay, what we were thinking was that once we were moving from the objective-based curriculum to the standard-based, we would have shifted from the norm reference to the criterion reference in terms of assessment. I've written about this. But WAEC thinks that, and the Ministry of Education, the Ghana Education Service and other stakeholders think that they will continue to use this particular practice. It is not supposed, it's not designed to disadvantage the private schools and advantage the public schools. I don't see how you bring this one into the conversation. It is about you not being able to get data from WAEC. Then that's when we can have a conversation around that. So that is what I was saying. They should give us a breakdown of the performance of the schools that they are saying have been having a dip in their performance.
Yeah, he says it's cut across the entire country.
Yes, so we should have the data. They are the association. They should have it. My friend Captain and other people should do us a very good service by putting out the data that within the past 3 years, this is the performance of the private schools. They are dipping, and they think that this performance, the decrease in the performance, reduction in the performance, is because WAEC is not being fair to them. Okay, then we can have a conversation. I was thinking that my friend was going to give us an indication of what is really happening. But if he's complaining about Senate system, oh, come on, then he's got no point.
All right. We'll leave it here. Dr. Peter Anti is the Executive Director of the Institute of Education Studies, IFES Ghana. And earlier, you heard from Justice Kineso. He speaks for the Ghana National Association of Private Schools. And also, we spoke to Peter Kwesi Nochukuto, the Chairperson of Parliament Select Committee on Education. Let's stay on education because after years of failed government promises, the people of Siru have taken matters into their own hands. They molded the mud blocks and provided the labor to build 2 classrooms. sparing their children the several kilometer journey to junior high school. Most are peasant farmers with little to spare, but they are determined to build a 6-unit block and move every child out of the straw shed. Emmanuel Jiveno has more in the final episode of Crumbling Start Season 2.
This is my second time in Siru, a small farming community in the Wa West district. The first time I came here, children were learning under trees. 2 years later, very little has changed. Straw sheds are still being used as classrooms, and the same half-roofed pavilion is still holding more than one class. When the wind picks up, lessons slow down. When the sun becomes too harsh, they sometimes stop altogether. But one thing has changed. The community is no longer waiting.
We have a lot of problems. If you see as a school, we don't have the school block for the students to be taking their learning process. As well as furnitures, school feeding, water, all of them, we don't have it. But we, the community, we do our best. We are feeding ourselves, making pavilions for the school children to take place for their learning, as well as doing some petty things to support ourselves for our learning process to be going on here. As you are seeing, we call it Stampa, the pavilions we are doing for ourselves. Because we don't have school building, we volunteer ourselves doing their building for the school children.
So that's the esophagus, and we are going to talk about the function of it.
After years of pleading with the district assembly for a 6-unit classroom block and getting nothing but broken promises, the community has decided to take matters into its own hands.
The community are now more active than before because thanks to your coming, they have gotten us another 2 classroom unit block. That was last year, and this academic year they are embarking on another one, and they have just started molding the bricks. So I can say when we come to school infrastructure, that is something new that Siru DAKG is getting, and we are really happy. Both teachers and pupils are happy about that.
Behind the school, piles of freshly molded mud blocks are drying under the sun. Each one represents a contribution from someone in the community. Some offer labor, some cook for the laborers. Others contribute small money they can afford. Together, they are building a classroom block for children who would have otherwise stopped school after primary 6.
We used a mud bridge to do it. For the summer is like the temporary classroom. For ours, we form one in front too. We don't have JSS.
Pupils of Siru DA Basic School who complete Basic 6 must travel several kilometers to continue their education. For many of them, that distance becomes the end of their education. That is why the community has decided to build its own junior high school. So far, 2 of the 3 mud classrooms have already been completed and are in use. The first GHS1 pupils are occupying one. The other, Basic 3 pupils who used to learn under a tree, have now moved inside, finally sheltering away from the sun and the wind.
We have JSS Kangba. If I know Kangba and this one there is far. That is why we decided ourselves to just build these pavilions for those that have completed JSS to start learning as a junior high.
But for the school, the mud classrooms are only the first step. The headmistress and the school management committee have now put together a simple plan they believe can truly change the future of their children. It starts with what the school needs most right now: more classrooms for the growing number of pupils.
We are the instruments of change. We are supposed to be the agents of change in this community. So we do our part, then the community also do their part. The community actually is our motivational tool. They really motivate us a lot. Every day they come in, they tell us some of the plans they are having for us. And every academic year, the SMC, we sit down and then we construct an action plan. We know we can't provide, but we put it down so that it could be a guide on some of the agent needs the school wants. With the 3 classroom unit block, we say we want cement 200 bags, iron rod 100, 2x4 wood, we say we wanted 300 pieces, 1x6 wood 50 pieces, roofing sheet 30 packs, 4 nails 10 packs, quarter rolls 25 pieces. Then we have 3 inches nails 20 packs. Then we set sand for the molding of the blocks. We say if we get 15 trays of sand, it will do. Then we set stones for the concrete. If we get about 5 strips of stones, it will do. Then illusion paint, that is for painting of the school block, 6 containers. Then we have oil paint, about 2 containers. So with this, if we are optimistic that if we are able to get it, definitely we'll be able to get a 3 classroom block, concrete and what? Durable one that can last for a period of time.
We get these things when you are messing. Oh, why not our structure will not be okay for us? It will be okay. Yes, we really need them. Yes, if we get them, oh, Massa, everything will be okay to us.
For a farming community like Siru, it is a big plan. But the headmistress says the community is ready to do what it has always done, contribute what it can, little by little, until the school becomes what their children deserve.
If you don't have fun, you can do. You will have it in your mind, but the father money is not there. How can you do it? We don't have them to. You can't beg them to, unless you get a note for support, or if you have your fund, you can go and get to it and do everything we want to do.
We'll be very much happy. We'll be very much happy if corporate bodies, individuals can come to our aid. We'll be very much happy because the community, they are up and doing. They want to do it. But like you said, they are mainly farmers, and it's mostly the farming season. They do their farming, they get their crops, they produce, they take it to the market, they go to sell. Even sometimes one can just donate a bag of cassava dough for the school, or corn bags, they give it to us. Even some take the initiative of buying 1 bag of cement. We have one member who gave us a bag of cement to come and construct the boards in those 2 classroom blocks. So you see that they want to do more. If the person do not want to do that, he will not even think of even giving us one. So the fact that he has given us one means that if he could do more, he would have done it. So if corporate bodies, we really plead on corporate bodies to come and help us in that regard. Well Vision and those bodies, they should really turn their School for Life, and those bodies, they should really turn their eyes to Siru DAKG Primary. We really have a future of students that will be ready to do the unthinkable for the growth of the country.
Oh, as you know, look at our school environment, but the active the teachers are doing. If we get a new block here, Massa, it will be marvelous to us.
Siru may not have the classrooms it deserves. It still struggles with furniture, water, and even space for children to sit and learn. But what this community has is something far stronger. People who have decided they would not give up on their children. So instead of waiting for another promise, they have started building their own future. They know it may take years. They know it will not be easy, but they are determined to finish what they have started, so the next generation does not have to struggle the way these ones are struggling. Emmanuel Jivenu, Joy News, Siru, One West District, Upper West Region.
Well, let's get talking on this particular story and speak to Dawn Mahatebel. She's the headmistress of Siru Basic School. We also have Amadou Zuliedin. He's the project manager, School for Life. Grateful to have both of you here on the pulse. And let me start with you, Amadou Zildad, if I got your name right. How serious a problem is this particular situation in Siru, which we've just spoken about in the report we played a while ago?
Sorry, thank you for the opportunity. Can you repeat the question? I want
to know how serious a problem it is in the community when it comes to basic education, particularly in Siru.
Yeah. Thank you. Basic education, especially in rural Ghana, is faced with a number of challenges. And the case of Siru is just one of those, where communities or schools lack basic infrastructure like classroom, desks, and other teaching and learning materials. For the case of Siru, through the work that we do as a CLARE project, citizens' capacity have been built and then their agency enhanced, where they now realize the important need for education. And it's as a result that communities have come together, community people have come together, mobilize their own local resources to support the education of their children, realizing that education is a key to unlock the potential of children. They have been able to mobilize resources to put these structures together. And then you see the makeshift structures they have put. That's the innovation of the school leadership led by the headmistress. And so the situation is quite disturbing. And we are hoping and calling on stakeholders or authorities to come to the aid of Siru. Because if Siru as a community are able to do this, then I think the government should come on board to support in addressing the infrastructure deficit situation in the community.
Right.
That would enable effective teaching and learning to go on, where the children would have better future in their community.
Now, tell us how this is actually affecting enrollment. The fact that the student would have to travel kilometers to access education. How is this affecting enrollment figures in the community?
Definitely, in the case of Siru have done so well because of the activeness of the community people, and they have on their own introduced a feeding program. The government doesn't have a school feeding program. The community people have introduced a feeding program where they contribute grains, and they have started a school farm where they contribute to support the farm to ensure that learners, their own children, remain in the school. But of course, where there is no junior high school, in the case of Siru, and people have to travel, the learners have to travel far distances to access junior high school or education, then it becomes a big challenge. It demotivates the learners to go because, for instance, if you happen to want to walk like 1 hour or even 30 minutes to another community to access education, then it makes it difficult for the learners, and that can affect teaching. By the time you arrive in school, you are tired, and then in no time school is almost closing. Then you have to return again. So it affects, in terms of distance, it affects the retention and also enrollment levels in school. And we think that in this case that Siru have started their own junior high school, it is important that the government and the local assembly come to the aid of the school to support in giving them a befitting structure to ensure that learning goes on.
We'll talk about the aid, the specific aid that you think government can provide. But let's also look at teachers. The fact that availability of schools and the distance and all that, how is that also affecting retention of teachers in the community?
Yes, in this case, they do not even have enough classrooms, and talk less of having teacher accommodation. This is one thing we have been engaging the government on, and unfortunately, the government introduced the teacher dabre policy, which is here to take effect in a way where the government will build teacher accommodation in rural areas. This is to attract teachers to stay and teach, so that there will be. The contact hours for the students or the learners would not be lost. And so we are, in this case of Siru, that governments to step up effort, especially in realizing the promise they have made in building teacher infrastructure or teacher accommodation for communities like Siru, where teachers would leave and stay to teach learners. The teachers in Siru particularly have done so well, and even traveling also from Wa, the regional capital, to Siru to teach, because there's no accommodation, and this can affect the time or the contact time with learners.
But I believe that the district assembly has a role to play in all of this. What do you think they can do? You're calling for government intervention, but they are on the ground, and I believe that certain measures could be taken by the district assembly. Are they aware, first of all, of this challenge? And tell us if they've been doing anything at all about it.
The district assembly, especially the district chief executive, is well aware of the situation. Fortunately, the current district chief executive who took office last year, 2025, is very much aware of the situation of Siru, because he served as an assembly person around that area. And so through our engagements, he has assured us that they have written to get fund to give Siru a befitting classroom block, at least 6-unit classroom block. But beyond that, he's also pledging on behalf of the district assembly through the common fund and then the IGF they raised, that whilst they wait for get fund support to come, they would also be able to use the common fund or the IGF to start something. And he promised that before the end of the year, at least would have seen work ongoing to give Siru at least 6-unit classroom block. This would ease the situation and ensure that learners have conducive learning spaces, learning environment to learn. Because the current situation, when rain starts, then all the classes under the trees, it disrupts schooling or it disrupts teaching and learning. So we are hoping that the assembly, through the DCE, would fulfill their pledge. Earlier in the year, we engaged the assembly, and then continuously the citizen groups that we are working with continue to engage the assembly. And this is the pledge we are getting from the DCE. We are hoping that this will come to fruition to support quality teaching and learning.
We understand also that the Member of Parliament for the area, Peter Lanchene-Chobo, is very much concerned about this situation. What has he been telling you?
Yeah, the Honourable Member of Parliament is he's done so well. One of the communities we work in the country, he supported in renovating the school, and then we are happy about it. But in this case of Siru, we are yet to see him come on board, and we are calling on him to support Siru to address the urgent situation or the urgent need for a classroom. We will be happy to see some processes initiated so that by the time schools resume in September, at least the children will come back to school to benefit from this new infrastructure or classroom block.
Right, stay with me. I have the headmistress of Siru Basic School. Grateful to have you here on the pulse. Tell us, before the 2 math classrooms were built, what happened to pupils who completed primary 6 at that particular school?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, Siru school started in 2019.
Can you speak up for us, please?
Okay. I said, actually, Siru school started in 2019. So before the senior high school, students who were actually at the senior high school had to travel to nearby communities like Kamba and Balawa to attend school.
That is to attend the JHS?
Yes, to attend JHS.
And what is the distance like in terms of where they travel to the next community?
I can say roughly 5-10 kilometers from Siru to Kamba. Then from Siru to Balawa, maybe the same. Is that from Siru to Balawa, there is a dam during the rainy season that makes it hard for them to cross.
So they do 10 kilometers from Siru to the next community to school and do another 10 kilometers back?
Yes.
And would you say we've been able to produce some, good students out of those sacrifices?
Okay. For the past 2 years, I would say students who had attended schools, let's say Kangba, JHS, had made it to the secondary school. So I would say, though it's tiresome, but the children do their best and they are able to make it to the second cycle.
Right. How committed are the community people who we are told have been supporting with building this new block from where you are as the headmistress?
Very committed, very committed. They are really up and doing when it comes to the school, because every now and then they are out to put heads together on how to provide some of the needful things the community, the school actually wants. So mostly the PTA, the SMC, the assemblyman mostly come to visit the school almost every week to make inquiries what is happening, so how far with issues. So they are really up and do. And community, when you call them for meetings, they come and they are ready to listen to you and they are ready to help out in any way they can.
Right. And finally, what do you think will happen to these children? I mean, those who are going to complete primary 6 if a school is not built immediately?
So for now, the community, because they were really serious about their children, they constructed a one classroom unit block. That was the beginning of this last year.
Right.
For the basic 6 who were to move to basic 1, JHS 1. So when we saw that we called and then they
I think you have to reposition yourself. We seem to be losing you.
Okay. Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, loud and clear now.
Okay. So I'm saying that the community came out again and they built another 2 classroom unit block. So with that 2 classroom unit block, hopefully when school is academic year, basic JHS 1 will be moving to the next classroom, then basic 6 will then move to the basic JHS 1 classroom. The problem is that since the basic level, that is from KG to basic 6, do not have classrooms, we make the children go to occupy those 2 classroom blocks. So even when JHS 2 commission next academic year, those children, basic 6 and basic 3, have to move to under the tree. So it will really affect us.
And you, the teachers?
Yeah. It's really tiresome for students, especially during the rainy season. You have to now arrange your class under a tree to prepare and start lessons. So we are just, it's really tiresome, but we are doing our best and we are just praying and hoping that they come to our aid with a classroom unit block. That's just what we need now.
Thank you so much for speaking to us. That was the headmistress for Siru Basic School speaking to us. Earlier you heard from Amadou Zuleidin, manager of the CLARE project. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Carlos Kaloni. We'll take a short break. We'll return with more. Stay with us. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us here on The Pulse. Well, the June 29 floods may be over, but residents of 4th Avenue at Greater Estate in Teshi are still living with the aftermath. A damaged road and bridge have turned what was once an easy commute into a daily struggle for residents and motorists. Na Moko report.
Standing here on the 4th Avenue stretch of Teshigreda Estate, getting home, well, something that should be one of the simplest part of the day has now become a difficult task for residents. Now, this road, which connects residents to their homes, has deteriorated so badly over time that it's leaving motorists struggling every day to navigate through the broken surfaces and deep potholes. For many here, they say the journey home is no longer a smooth ride, but rather a daily challenge for them.
For years, this road served as a convenient link for residents accessing their homes. But after the floods, deep potholes, washed out sections, and a damaged bridge have transformed the route into a daily challenge. Motorists are forced to slow down, maneuver carefully, or abandon the road altogether to avoid damaging their vehicles.
I've been living here for some time now, and this is just my house. I'm from Tangoing. And then since the flood, in fact, we don't have easy access going to our homes. So we are pleading with our authorities, please, they should come to our aid. In fact, the road is in a very bad state.
For residents, the impact goes beyond transportation. Some say they now struggle to bring their vehicles into their homes, while others have to pack away from their houses and find alternative means to complete their journey.
Due to the flood, so the whole place, we can't get good access to our houses. So we need to pack our cars down and go with Okada, which is very bad.
And our roads before was very good. Yeah, I was in this area 2016, and it was very perfect road. Yeah, but as it stands now, you can see the rain that falls recently. That's what has made the road like this.
Residents fear the situation could worsen with another heavy rainfall and are appealing to authorities to urgently rehabilitate the road and restore the damaged bridge.
On the other side of the road, it's almost the same in this estate. So, I mean, there's nothing. I don't know whether it is a grader that has to take care of these things or it's the government.
So we are appealing with the authorities to come and help us, to come to our aid as well.
From this 4th Avenue stretch of the Teshigreda Estate, what residents here are asking for is that simple. That is a safe road and a safe bridge they can safely use to access their homes without the fear of getting stuck or damaging their vehicles. But then, until the needed repairs are carried out, this remains a daily hurdle and struggle for the people who call this community a home. Reporting for Joy News, I am Na Moko, Teshigreda Estate.
Well, away from that, government is moving to ease pressure on Greater Accra's landfill site by formalizing waste transfer stations. The plan will bring tricycle waste collectors into the country's sanitation system. Local government minister Ahmed Ibrahim says the measures form part of the 24-hour sanitation model. Nancy Kumson reports.
For hours, tricycle waste collectors queued to offload the rubbish collected across Accra. Local government minister Ahmed Ibrahim blames the delays on the limited number of landfill sites. During a visit to Zumlion's integrated recycling and compost plant, he said government is introducing a 24-hour system to compact waste and transport it overnight to landfill sites and recycling facilities in the eastern region.
So the kind of convoy, tricycle convoy, and those things that you are seeing here is something we have to work on. And therefore, whatever we will do, and that is why decentralization comes in. If we are able to fix the Malam transfer station, you know, this Accra West, Malam, it's for Accra West. And the whole pressure from Accra West comes here. Jamestown, Dansoman, all of them come to this place. That's why you are seeing the pressure that you see. So even the RCOP here is under pressure. They have to seriously convert the place into a transfer station where the long trailers can be able to cut the waste from here to the eastern region in the night.
However, workers under the Metropolitan Municipal and District Assembly Sanitation Project held a protest over unpaid allowances. Zumlion's Government Affairs Manager, Ernest Morgan, says the company will settle the arrears once government releases the necessary funds.
For the past year, there have been some challenges with payments that we are receiving from the MMDAs and from government. We stand with them and we assure them that management of Zoomlion would ensure that every legal, every rightful amount owed anybody would be paid. We are just waiting for government to release to us the amount that is owed us.
The local government ministry says transporting waste from Accra to the eastern region at night will ease pressure on the Jamestown landfill site and improve waste disposal in the capital. Nancy Kumsum's report for Joy News, read to you.
Well, the leadership of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union is meeting to decide whether to increase transport fares or maintain current prices following government's 2 Ghana cedi per litre diesel intervention. The meeting comes after government appealed to transport operators to suspend any fare increases during the 1-month subsidy period. While the unions welcome the intervention, they say drivers are still under pressure as fuel costs continue to take a large share of their earnings. The outcome of the meeting will determine whether fares remain unchanged or operators proceed with a planned increase. Listen to Samuel Amwa. He is the Deputy Public Relations Officer of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union on the matter.
We were also looking at the area of the petrol. We also have some vehicles that use petrol, taxis and other vehicles. So we're thinking that maybe we'll look at that area too. Looking at where the fuel price or the diesel went to, and then this 2 cedis reduction, although the government has done very well, but still the drivers are still complaining. We also share their concerns because at the close of the day, the work and all the money will go into fuel. And so therefore we are just waiting to see the outcome of a meeting, because the leadership is going for a meeting. After this 2 cedis intervention on the diesel, the ministry informed the leadership that they are pleading with us. We should hold on with our increments for now, because the president says that this 2 cedis intervention is going to take a month, and that going forward they believe that things might come down. So the leadership also told them that, okay, we are leading a group. So the best thing for them to do is also inform the members, deliberate on it, for them to see the final decision to be taken. So as I'm speaking to you, meeting is ongoing and the decision will be taken. But we appreciate what the government has also done.
Well, my colleague Jason Day joins me in the studio. He's been following this particular development. And since government released the subsidies from yesterday, what has changed at the pumps?
So just a few hours after government released that there should be a reduction of 2 cedis on diesel, the MPA decided to make those reductions immediate. And then they released the new pricing window.
Right.
Effective from now, that is 4th August to 15th. This should be the new price for petrol and diesel. 14 cedis 53 pesos for petrol and 14 cedis 97 pesos for diesel. Now, at first, it was 16 cedis 97 pesos for diesel, and we can clearly see that reduction is seen for diesel over there. So now this is the new price floor. This is the price at which OMCs, or I should say oil marketing companies, cannot sell below, which means they can sell above it. So they need to adhere to that particular directive from MPA and the government. But we've gone around, and then as of yesterday, we saw that Star Oil have reduced their prices. At first, they used to sell diesel for 18 cedis 97 pesos, and now it's selling at 16 cedis 97 pesos. So we see that 2 cedi reduction from the government is clear for Star Oil.
And it's reflecting actually at the pumps.
Yes, exactly. And then for petrol, they've also reduced it to reflect what we know to be the price floor over here, and they've decided to reflect it over there too for now. But we've only seen that for Star Oil, which is the market leader. They did this immediately that they heard that the government is doing this, is reducing the price for them. But then we've not seen it with the others. Others are still maintaining their price, probably looking at how it's going to affect their cost of production and other things.
Thank you so much, Jason, for those details. Well, some drivers have been reacting to the government relief packages introduced yesterday. Take a listen to them.
Whatever, no, I'm saying this is also too much. As I say, you're too fair. Also, you're fair no.
We are really suffering as drivers. The diesel vehicles we use have become very expensive to run. I used to fill my car with 500 Ghana cedis, but now it costs me about 1,000 Ghana cedis. This 2 cedi reduction in the price of diesel is not enough to make any real difference. Whenever diesel prices go up, transport fares should also be adjusted, because the current fares are making it difficult for us to cope.
The extra monitor, it is a sale crown. This no a cost no. Yet mean sales.
Well, I think it's a good call for the nation, because we all know drivers have actually been complaining in terms of the high cost of purchasing diesels. So if the governments now decide to reduce it by 2 cedis, I think it's going to help them, it's going to reduce. Because some few days it has been more or less like every driver is trying to charge what he or she think, but because depending on how much he spends on fuel or probably diesel.
I think it will help to reduce costs, because the drivers are complaining about petrol and other things, but with the help of this one, it will help to reduce the cost and make efficient transportation very easy.
Well, we've also been hearing from the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers.
We need a strategic reserve program as a country where instead of the taxes that we pay so much and see so little for, put some of these taxes into a strategic reserve program that allows the country to buy fuel and store when prices are lower. I say this again. If just a month or two ago, fuel declined to about $500, $600 a metric ton, and we had the money to buy some to store, today that it rises to over 1,000, 1,300. We could safely release that stock that we got at 600 a while ago to cushion the market without even bothering government to do any subsidy intervention. So, again, I will go for planning all through. In the absence of that, we'll continue to do the knee-jerk bits that we do. If you wake up tomorrow, the Houthis and the Saudis decide to go neck to neck, and other pathways or choke points are also blocked, and prices do jump up, then it means that we'll have to go back to government again to say, add more subsidy or add relieve us of a bit more taxes than you have done.
Well, joining us for more on this is the General Secretary for the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council, Emmanuel Ohene-Yeboah. Grateful to have you here on the pause. First, what's your reaction to the fuel prices and government intervention so far?
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for the opportunity. Yeah, we can say it's amazing. It's good. It's good for our operation. We are grateful.
Is the 2 cedi enough?
Well, it's not enough. We could have done better, but you can't complain. I mean, 2 cedi is also, the quantum is quite big, and cumulatively, it makes, quite an amount. So it's good. You can't complain.
What were you expecting in terms of the subsidy? 10 cedis?
No, we're actually expecting that maybe if you are taking maybe 3 cedi off diesel and maybe 1 to 2 cedi or so from petrol too, that would have been nice. But the government may be looking at its commitment. That's what we can do. There's little we can say, except that we'll continue to, speak to our members to make sure that we don't do anything contrary to the directive.
So as it stands now, motorists or passengers are not going to be seeing any increment in fares.
That one, I think we've made it clear again that with this, the reduction brings us to where the fuel was before the recent window. So if we had not increased at the time, there's no justification that maintaining the same price, we have to increase. So I think it's okay. It's okay for now. And you see, the government also was specific that the reduction is going to be for 1 month. So we are waiting for the end of the 1 month period. If it improves, fine. If it's there, we know what to do. But for now, I don't think we'll be justified to make any increases. So for the next 1 month, passengers can be assured that the current fares will be maintained. If the price is as it is, the 2 may be taken away, yes, but if they increase it further and it goes beyond this level, it means the 2 will not be significant enough to take care of the shocks. So anything can change within the 1 month period? Well, I'm not saying we're going to change anything by way of increasing, but we're going to monitor the system. If the numbers maintain the way it is, we are good to go. What? Just land. Okay, I was going to ask you, what's the level of compliance among the transport unions regarding the decision not to increase fares at this point? Oh, generally, I think it's been complied with. Earlier on, had news that people were seeing some arbitrary increment, especially in the evenings and in the morning. We put out posts to see to it that those doing that have stopped. Because we realize most of the guys who are doing that are not members of any of the unions. They just opportunity and come and do that with the junk that they are mastered. So these are the want to address. Once we get to that arbitrary in the evenings and in the morning, I think that's the problem, and there will be no for us to increase. And what mechanisms are you putting in place to track and perhaps control those recalcitrant drivers who are non-union members but are taking advantage sometimes, like you said, in the evenings and early mornings to extort from unsuspecting members of the public? You see, the GPRTU has a standing union guard, and there are other volunteers also that are volunteered to work to make sure we will get some sanity in that place. But we actually spoken with the police to assist that, because the new road traffic amendment law gives way for criminalizing, overcharging. So once we are able to arrest anybody in that manner, there's a clear law that can be used to punish him. So currently you are working with the Ghana Police Service on that? Yeah, we are collaborating with them. So I have some discussions with them, and we'll just rule out any plans to make sure we stop that thing in trouble. Thank you so much for speaking to us here on The Pulse. That was Emmanuel Ohene Yeboah. He is the General Secretary for the Ghana Road Transport Coordinating Council. Meanwhile, government is urging transport operators and the public to remain calm as it works to cushion the impact of Middle East tensions on global fuel prices. The Public Relations Officer at the Ministry of Energy, Richmond Roxen, spoke on Newsnight.
So for the two others on the international market, that's price of finished products and the price of crude. Obviously, we do not have any control. But when it comes to the exchange rates, that is what we manage here to be able to support the people of Ghana. Can you imagine if prices or if the exchange rate was around 17 Ghana cedis as this government inherited powers compared to what we are seeing today? And so one, the economy is doing well. It is false if the economy is not doing well. The indicators are there for all to see. Dr. Baumia said that when in doubt, check the exchange rates, and the exchange rate is evidence for all of us to see. For the finished products, like I mentioned, we have less control. The government is intervening with the margins and levies to be able to give us some respite. His Excellency the President directed the ministers for energy as well as Minister for Finance to monitor. And so at every given time, if that is the ideal intervention, I'm sure that government will not hesitate to exercise that.
Away from energy, the municipal chief executive for the North Municipal Assembly, Akufo-Addo, has firmly dismissed a speculation that a private individual is constructing toilet facilities beneath the ultra-modern Pokwase interchange along the Accra-Kumasi highway. He explained that the project was initiated by the Assembly as part of a broader plan to relocate people to the area and ease congestion caused by drivers around the Pokwase junction. According to him, the project later stalled due to resistance from the transport operators and some operational challenges. While speaking to Joy News, Mr. Addo stressed that claims suggesting the facility is owned or being developed by an individual are completely false.
It's not being built by individual. Actually, it's certain of the toilet facility that I completely disagree. So that's why it's stalled. It's the Assembly that is trying to find a solution to the problem around the Pokwase interchange. And the main reason why we decided to bring a toilet facility here is that you can see Pokwase interchange is always choked. The transport operators are on the road actually loading. So we want to address that. So we are decongesting Pokwase junction. And if you check under the interchange, they built cubicles meant for transport operation. So our plan is to bring all the transport operators at the Pokwase junction under the cubicles. But we are facing a little challenge.
What challenge is it?
And the challenge is the resistance. One of the community, they are complaining of the distance. So that is the challenge. We continue to engage them. We had several community engagement. The need why we need to decongest Pokwase. So it's as a result of that. And if the people comes here, they will need urinals.
Well, my colleague Fatau Bayaga has been following this particular story and now joins me in studio for more. Fatau, you have been speaking to the MC for the area, and he did indicate that some demolition will be happening. Did he tell you who is going to bear the cost?
Very interesting, Carlos. In fact, the area now has been taken over by, weeds, the grasses actually. And in fact, according to the people, now reptiles, among others, have taken over the place and all of that. And in fact, according to the MC, he himself disagreed with the situation or the location of that structure beneath the interchange. Basically, the contractor went ahead to do that. So he says that basically the contractor would bear the cost of that. The construction, the demolition, the assembly will not pay a peswa because the contractor was told that the area that was allocated for this particular structure wasn't directly under the interchange, but a place close to the interchange. So according to the MC, the assembly is not going to pay a peswa in terms of the work that has gone into the construction, among other things. So basically, this is what the MC has been telling.
Did it indicate when exactly the destruction is going to happen?
In fact, even before I left there were some officers who came from the environmental department of the assembly, and they have begun demolishing the structure. So as I speak with you, they are doing that at the moment. This particular story went viral when people claimed that it was an individual who was building this, among other things. The MC, in fact, said that it's an assembly project, right? It's an initiative that is being spearheaded by the assembly, and you heard him clearly, in that sound, talking about the fact that it was meant to decongest the Pokwase junction. But Carlos, the question that I asked him was the fact that if you look at that area, I was looking at the safety of the people,
right?
Because some of the people who operate there say that sometimes vehicles fall, from the the
flyovers.
The flyovers. Even they said not long ago a gas vehicle fell even on top of one of the structures that have been put under the interchange. So I was asking about the safety of the people if they decide to, relocate the people from the Pokasi Junction to now operate beneath the interchange. So the MC, in fact, at that point, he was struggling to explain to me what reason went into that decision and all of that.
And I know you've also been speaking to some of the residents there. What have they been telling you?
Yeah, so for the residents, even though the assembly is yet to undertake its relocation initiative, there are a few people who are operating under the interchange. We have people selling, some foodstuffs. We also have some taxi operators who are at the moment stationed under the interchange. And basically they say that for them, they're happy to see the facility being put up because, Carlos, they said that at the moment there's no place that they could go and ease themselves among other things. Some of them have to enter the bush and all of that. So they were hoping that this structure would be completed in order to help them. But then it has stalled, just like we heard from the assembly. We can listen to some of them.
And no ye toilet in about for omo ebi a omo wa around omo chiro mo bed omo be kutima ko toilet obi e ba ma ne bi kura be faka baby obedun so adi betima ko na fe boys no so omo around betima ko dware o da but sisi am omo stop obi ama hu na ho fu mo akra wo ne mo be aba.
Higher because I know another intergene washroom behind here. But washroom, I be a whole big cry behind him. I can send your bet to me alcohol. But Sena among the high. But a hundred to sue, I'm watching one. A hundred and yet. Because many of Mumba affairs were the mechanics say, no Muba go here watch and yet because a careful and a horns moreover, than 12 feet top will be tough from that. And a gas car at that.
Well, Fatah, before I let you go, we understand that pedestrians who are supposed to use footbridges continue to cross the road, at an approved point. Did the MC speak about that?
Absolutely, he did. So, Carlos, under the interchange, in fact, it's now become a daily routine. People, instead of using the footbridge, have decided to use the main road or cross the main road, right? So, and according to some of the people who operate around that area, lives are being lost almost every week or two because people are deliberately deciding to cross the road instead of using the footbridge. So, in fact, at the moment, Carlos, the footbridge has been abandoned, right, by these people. The MCU said something very important. He said that it's because the wire mesh that were, fixed or that were put around the median of the road have all broken down at the moment. So what they intend to do is that, and they've gotten like a new person, a contractor, who would now fix or construct the wire mesh within the median. Right, that would compel the people to use the footbridge and all of that. So we can listen to him on that.
Thank you. In fact, it's one of the major problem that we face here. In fact, currently we have awarded a contract to fence the median, so that it will be very difficult for anybody to cross over. One of the I see no reason why. There's a footbridge here, so you just walk through here and cross safely. But pedestrians still cross through here. So there was a fencing initially, and it has been removed. So we are going to fence it again, so that at least we can make it very difficult for pedestrians who are crossing to cross. That is the only way that we can do to protect life and property. So.
Away from Pokwasi, the government of Ghana has taken a major step to reduce methane emissions from the country's oil and gas sector, one of the biggest sources of the potent greenhouse gas. Although methane remains in the atmosphere for a shorter time than carbon dioxide, it traps far more heat, making it a major contributor to global warming. To tackle the problem, the Environmental Protection Authority has launched new guidelines to detect, monitor and repair methane leaks across the industry. Michael Ashali has more in the following report.
Methane may not stay in the atmosphere as long as carbon dioxide, but scientists say it is more than 80 times more potent at trapping heat over a 20-year period. And in Ghana, the oil and gas sector remains one of the country's biggest sources of methane emissions, largely through leaks, venting, and gas flaring. In a bid to tackle the problem, the Environmental Protection Authority has launched new national guidelines for the inspection, monitoring, and reporting of fugitive methane emissions from the oil and gas sector. The EPA's Director of the Petroleum Department, Engineer George Kweku-Diewo, says the guidelines will ensure leaks are identified and repaired within a defined period.
This guidelines is going to make sure all leaks are detected and repaired at an acceptable time frame between industries and the EPA.
EPA's Director for Sustainability and Circular Economy, Larry Kotoi, says companies will now be required to put in place leak detection and repair programs with little room for unnecessary flaring or venting.
So the new guidelines actually provides for no flaring, no venting, and you are supposed to put in place a plan on how to capture some of these methane emissions. So going forward, both existing and the new facilities are supposed to comply with these guidelines. So they need to design their system in such a way that methane emissions are not just released into the atmosphere.
The move comes after years of significant losses. Executive Director of the Africa Center for Energy Policy, Benjamin Boachi, says Ghana has wasted enormous amounts of gas that could have generated electricity instead of being flared.
Between 2019 and 2025, Ghana flared approximately $600 million worth of natural gas from its petroleum operations. During the same period, the country spent even more importing liquid fuels to generate electricity because it could not fully utilize the gas it was producing.
But he cautions that regulations alone will not solve the problem unless they are enforced.
Spoken today, have appreciated the need for us to move into implementation. There are already some similar regulations that were only on the shelf and never got implemented.
Industry players, however, say they are ready. Mansa Kamasa is the lead for environment at Ghana Gas.
The plans are far advanced. We've been engaging service providers who can provide us with methane sensors, monitoring sensors to fix at our major installations, because it's a gradual implementation of the regulation, and all the various equipment, flow meters, measuring equipment that are required to be able to fulfill these regulations. Ghana Gas have made provision for it.
Under the new guidelines, oil and gas companies have 6 months to submit methane leak detection and repair plans. They are then expected to progressively implement the measures with the goal of achieving full compliance over the next 5 years. For Joy News, Michael Ashali.
Away from the environment, President John Dramani Mahama has rejected the argument that the involvement of some Africans in the transatlantic slave trade diminishes the crime of slavery or weakens the case for reparations. Speaking at a high-level dialogue on reparations at the University of the West Indies in Jamaica, as part of his state visit to Jamaica, President Mahama said the participation of some Africans as intermediaries did not absolve those who designed, financed, and institutionalized the transatlantic slave trade. He drew a parallel with the Holocaust, arguing that the actions of a few individuals within a persecuted community do not invalidate the historical reality of crimes committed against that community.
the Holocaust occurred, and I believe that there was a Holocaust and 6 million Jews were killed. Some of the most brutal prison guards were Jews. Some of those who went into the communities and showed where Jews were hiding and delivered them to the Nazis to be exterminated were Jews. But it doesn't mean the Holocaust didn't happen and that the Holocaust wasn't a crime against humanity. And so even the argument that Africans were involved in enslaving Africans does not stop it from being the gravest crime against humanity. And the point is, you must look at all the legal underpinnings. You must look at everything that was established to support the slave trade in terms of the insurance of the cargo and all that kind of thing, the auctions and all that. It was a very systematic trade. And so you cannot wish it away just by saying that some agents, whom you use as agents to bring you slaves as commodities, participated in it, and because they were Africans, then it means that the slave trade didn't happen. No, we reject that.
He says a global awareness of the transatlantic slave trade is growing following the United Nations resolution recognizing it as the gravest crime against humanity, arguing that a better understanding of the past is critical to shaping Africa's future.
Yeah, I think we should. It takes a lot of work. We should emancipate our minds from mental slavery. The twin effects of slavery and colonialism are still enduring, and that is part of the challenge our nations face. And we are now independent. We should be able to tell our children the truth. When I was growing up in primary school, the abolitionists were put as the most important thing that happened in the slave trade. We were taught about the slave trade. The gravity of what happened in the slave trade was never really spelled out. It was the bravery of the abolitionists and how they were the knights in shining armor who came and stopped it and saved Africans. And so all these people who were involved in the abolition movement were lionized in our history books. Now we can begin to tell our children the truth. And I think that since the resolution was passed on the General Assembly, it's piqued interest in trying to understand and know what exactly happened. And I believe that awareness is being created. People are aware of what happened. And it helps for you to know where we have come from, because that informs where we're going.
Well, let's cross over to Jamaica now, where President John Dramani Mahama is actually addressing that country's parliament as part of a state visit to that country. We'll bring you that feed shortly.
Of history is a celebration of our shared heritage and a reaffirmation that although the Atlantic Ocean may separate our shores, it can never diminish the bonds that unite our people. The relationship between Ghana and Jamaica is unlike many others in the community of nations. It was not forged by treaties alone. It was forged through shared sacrifice, sustained by resilience, and strengthened by a common belief in freedom, justice, and human dignity. Today, as Jamaica commemorates Emancipation Day and celebrates the 64th anniversary of independence, Ghana joins you in honoring the remarkable journey of a proud people whose courage, creativity, and resilience continues to inspire the whole of Africa, the Caribbean, and the global African diaspora. And Ghana is proud to have been among the first countries to recognize the newly independent nation in 1962. Emancipation Day and Independence Day are not simply national celebrations. They are enduring symbols of humanity's determination to overcome oppression and reclaim dignity. They remind us that even in the darkest chapters of history, nothing can extinguish the human spirit. The story of Jamaica is in many respects the story of Africa. It began in the great civilizations of our continent, the Empire of Ghana, Mali, Songhai, Great Zimbabwe, Buganda, Ashanti, Moshi, Benin, Ile-Ife, and many others. And this is before millions of Africans were forcibly taken across the Atlantic, endured the horrors of the Middle Passage, survived the brutality of enslavement, but found hope in communities in the New World that refused to surrender their identity, their faith, or their humanity. Against unimaginable odds, our ancestors preserved their cultures, their traditions, and their belief in freedom. They resisted oppression in countless ways, ensuring that future generations would inherit not despair, but hope. From the Maroon communities in Jamaica to the liberation movements that swept across Africa, the spirit of resistance of the African endured. And it ultimately gave birth to free nations that were determined to shape their own destinies. Today we honor the enslaved men and women whose labor enriched empires while their humanity was denied them. We honor those who resisted injustice. We honor those who fought for emancipation, self-determination, and national liberation. And we honor the generations whose sacrifice secured the freedoms that we enjoy today. Their courage reminds us that freedom is never given on a silver platter. It is earned through sacrifice. It is sustained by vigilance and is strengthened by unity. As we honor our shared past, we must also confront it with honesty and courage. History cannot be changed, but it can be acknowledged. And only by acknowledging historical truth can we build a future that is founded on reconciliation, justice, and mutual respect. As was recently reaffirmed at the United Nations General Assembly, the transatlantic slave trade and the racialized chattel enslavement of Africans was the gravest crime committed against humanity. The consequences of this grave crime did not end with abolition. The consequences continue even today to shape the patterns of inequality and exclusion that have persisted across our world. For this reason, we must remain steadfast in advancing the global conversation on reparatory justice. Our pursuit of reparatory justice is not motivated by resentment or hostility or a desire to revisit old wounds. It is inspired by our commitment to the truth, to accountability, to reconciliation, and to healing. It seeks recognition of historical wrongs, acknowledgement of their enduring consequences, and a collective determination to build a more just and equitable global order. In this regard, permit me to express Ghana's profound appreciation to the government and people of Jamaica for your unwavering support to Ghana's initiative at the United Nations, which culminated in the adoption of Resolution ARES/80/250, and for your invaluable contribution to the Accra Next Steps Conference on Reparatory Justice. Jamaica has provided principled leadership on this important issue for many years. Together, our two nations are ensuring that the descendants of those who suffered history's greatest injustice are neither forgotten or denied a voice in shaping a fairer world. Our advocacy is ultimately about hope. Hope that our future generations will inherit a world in which historical truth is acknowledged, human dignity is upheld, and justice becomes the foundation for lasting reconciliation. And that is the vision that continues to unite Ghana and Jamaica. It is a vision worthy of our ancestors. It is a vision to which we remain unwaveringly committed. I wish to also reiterate my message to the Right Honorable Prime Minister of Jamaica, Dr. Andrew Holness, yesterday, that Ghana fully supports the petition on slavery Jamaica proposes to soon submit to King Charles III. Right Honorable Prime Minister, Madam Speaker, Right Honorable President, honorable members, while we must never forget the injustices of history, neither must we allow them to imprison us. The story of people of African descent is not simply one of suffering. It is equally a story of resilience, excellence, and enduring achievement. It is a story of civilizations that advanced human knowledge, of freedom fighters who challenged oppression, of innovators who expanded the frontiers of science and technology, of artists whose creativity enriched global culture, and of statesmen and women who inspired nations to believe in the possibilities of freedom and self-determination. Few countries have contributed to this legacy I describe more profoundly than Jamaica. The land that gave the world the visionary leadership of the Right Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, whose call for black pride, self-reliance, and African unity awakened the consciousness of millions across Africa and the diaspora. His ideas inspired generations of Pan-African leaders, including our own founding father, President Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, who admitted in many of his writings that he drew strength from Garvey's vision in leading Ghana to independence and championing the liberation and unity of the African continent. The Pan-African movement itself is a testament to the inseparable bonds between Africa and the Caribbean. It was nurtured not only by Africans, but also by distinguished Caribbean sons and daughters, among them the great Trinidadian Pan-Africanist George Padmore, who made Ghana his home and worked side by side with President Nkrumah in advancing the cause of African liberation and unity. These towering figures remind us that the freedom of Africa and the Caribbean has always been a shared enterprise. Jamaica has also given humanity the timeless message of Bob Marley, whose music transcends borders. And whose voice became a universal anthem for freedom, justice, and human dignity. Through your writers, musicians, athletes, and creative talents, Jamaica has projected a cultural influence far beyond its size and has enriched the heritage of the global African family. In Ghana, across the Atlantic, we've never regarded these achievements as Jamaica's alone. We have celebrated them as victories for all people of African descent. Today, although we live under different flags and may speak with different accents, we remain united by a common heritage and an interconnected destiny. The challenge before us is therefore clear. We must transform our shared history into shared purpose. We must move beyond sentiments and build partnerships that create opportunity, expand prosperity, and improve the lives of our people. And as our first president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, reminded us, and I quote, he says, the forces that unite us are intrinsic and greater than the superimposed influences that keep us apart. Those words speak as powerfully to us today as they did at the dawn of African liberation. Now, our generation must secure economic transformation, scientific advancement, and technological leadership. As Bob Marley famously reminds us, emancipate yourselves from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. The liberation of the African mind remains one of the defining tasks of our generation. It demands confidence in our own institutions. It demands belief in our own capabilities and an unwavering commitment to accountability and excellence. Above all, it requires that our young people see themselves not as descendants of slaves, but as heirs to greatness and architects of an even greater future. Madam Speaker, Right Honorable President, honorable members, The 21st century presents Africa and the Caribbean with an historic opportunity. Africa is home to the world's youngest, fastest growing population, possesses immense natural resources, and is becoming rapidly a growing center of innovation and enterprise. The Caribbean and Jamaica continue to exercise global leadership on climate justice, sustainable development, democracy, and multilateral cooperation. And most of all, Jamaica presents a gateway to the larger American and Caribbean areas. Together, these two regions possess enormous human talent, cultural influence, and economic potential. History has connected us, and the future now calls upon us to work together with greater ambition. We must strengthen cooperation between African Union and the CARICOM. We must deepen our collaboration within the United Nations and other multilateral institutions. And we must coordinate our positions on issues that will define the future of humanity. Whether the challenge is climate change, reform of the international financial architecture, food security, public health, or digital transformation, our voices will carry greater weight if we speak together. The partnership between Africa and the Caribbean should therefore no longer be defined only by our shared past, but also by our shared future. It should be recognized for the future we are determined to build together. It is this conviction that inspired me to call the Accra Reset Conference recently. The Accra Reset reflects our belief that institutions governing the world must evolve to reflect the realities and aspirations of the 21st century. Too many developing countries continue to confront structural barriers to financing, unequal trading arrangements, and inadequate representation in global decision-making bodies. These inequities cannot define our future. The Accra Reset calls for a new development paradigm founded on mutual respect, productive investment, and genuine partnership. It seeks to accelerate industrialization, promote value addition, encourage innovation, exercise national sovereignty over our resources, and equip our young people with the knowledge and skills to compete successfully in the global economy. But above all, it calls for a more balanced international order in which developing countries participate as equal partners in shaping global solutions. And that is why Ghana continues to advocate comprehensive reform of the United Nations Security Council, including permanent African representation. It is the reason why we support reforms that give developing countries a stronger voice within the international financial institutions. And it is why we believe Africa and the Caribbean must continue to stand together in pursuit of a fairer, more inclusive, and more representative international system. When we work together, our partnership becomes more than just a historical connection. It becomes a powerful force for global progress, for shared prosperity, and for lasting justice. Madam Speaker, history has brought Ghana and Jamaica together. The future now calls upon us to deepen that relationship with renewed purpose and greater ambition. Our friendship has endured because it's founded not merely on diplomacy, but on shared values, on mutual respect, and an abiding sense of kinship. We recognize in each other not only trusted partners, but members of the same global African family. The task before us is therefore very clear. It is to transform our historical bonds into practical partnerships that create jobs for our people, expand opportunities, and improve the lives of our citizens. The African Continental Free Trade Area, which has its headquarters in Accra, offers unprecedented opportunities for closer commercial relations between Africa and the Caribbean. With a market of more than 1.4 billion people, it provides Jamaican businesses with a gateway to Africa, just as Jamaica can serve as an important bridge for Africa's engagement with the Caribbean and the Americas. Together, we should strengthen trade and investment, we should promote joint ventures between our business people, and encourage greater collaboration between our private sector. We should deepen cooperation. We should deepen cooperation in agriculture, tourism, maritime transport, renewable energy, digital technology, education, healthcare, and the creative industries. We should encourage greater exchanges amongst our universities. And I'm happy to note that the University of West Indies and my alma mater, the University of Legon, already have a training relationship. Between our research institutions, between our young entrepreneurs, ensuring that innovation becomes the cornerstone of our partnership. As island and coastal nations, we also share a common interest in developing the blue economy, protecting our marine resources, and strengthening maritime security. Together, we can promote the sustainable use of our oceans while creating new opportunities for economic growth and employment. Climate change remains one of the defining challenges of our generation. Although Africa and the Caribbean have contributed the least to global greenhouse gas emissions, our people continue to suffer a disproportionate share of its consequences. Together, we must advocate climate justice, expand access to climate finance, and invest in resilient structures that protect our communities and secures our future. Let the Ghana-Jamaica partnership become a model for a renewed relationship between Africa and the Caribbean, one that is driven by innovation, by our shared prosperity, our common determination to improve the lives of our people. The friendship between our two countries has already been tested not only in moments of celebration, but also in times of adversity. When Hurricane Melissa's widespread destruction in Jamaica occurred, Ghana responded as family. At the direction of the government of Ghana, the Ghana Armed Forces Engineers Regiment deployed personnel to assist in the reconstruction effort. Working closely with the Jamaica Defense Force, government agencies, and local communities, they helped restore damaged infrastructure, rehabilitate public facilities, and support affected families as they rebuild their lives. Their mission was not one of compassion. It was a mission of brotherhood and solidarity in true African tradition. It was not simply an engineering assignment. It was a practical demonstration of Pan-African solidarity. The professionalism, discipline, and selfless service displayed by the officers and men of the Ghana Armed Forces reflects the finest traditions of our military service. It strengthened the enduring bonds between our two nations. Their work stands as a reminder that while the Atlantic Ocean separates our shores, it cannot separate our humanity. When one member of our family suffers, the others must respond. That is the spirit of Pan-Africanism. That is the essence of South-South cooperation. And that is the enduring character of the friendship between Ghana and Jamaica. And let me use this occasion to commend the government and people of Jamaica for your resilience and for your speedy recovery after Hurricane Melissa. Since our visit here in Kingston, Jamaica, one would hardly recognize that Lady Melissa came through here. Jamaica has bounced back. It reflects Jamaica's resilience, and I commend you. The right of persons of African, I use lady because hurricanes are women. They are named after women. The rights of persons of African descent in the diaspora to return to the mother continent is not an act of charity or compassion. Repatriation is not an act of kindness. Repatriation is a right of all persons of African descent to return to the mother continent and settle or reside if they wish. And that is why Ghana passed the Right of Abode Act in the year 2000 and is currently considering a new homeland return bill that will codify residence and citizenship pathways for all members of the global African family. This is one of the articles of the manifesto I wish to push when I become the AU chairman, that all African nations must have a right of return for all members of the global African family. Ladies and gentlemen, permit me to conclude by speaking directly to the young people of Jamaica, Ghana, Africa, and the global African diaspora. Our youth are the generation that will define the next chapter of our shared history. Our youth have inherited the courage of our ancestors, but they also possess opportunities that our ancestors could scarcely have imagined. Technology has connected our continents. Knowledge has become more accessible than at any time in history. Innovation has created possibilities that previous generations could only have dreamt about. The future will belong to those who create solutions, embrace innovation, and build bridges across nations and cultures. And to our youth, I say dream boldly, lead with integrity, innovate with purpose, build enterprises that create jobs, use technology to solve problems, and serve your communities with compassion. And never doubt that you can change and never doubt your ability to change your country, your continent, and the world. Our responsibility as leaders is to build societies that match your ambitions, societies founded on quality education, equal opportunity, innovation, democratic governance, and shared prosperity. If we succeed, the descendants of Africa will not merely have participated in shaping our future, they would have participated in leading it. Madam Speaker, Right Honorable President, Excellency Prime Minister, as I conclude, let me return to where I began. Our gathering today is much more than a state visit. It is a reaffirmation that history, however painful, need not define our future. The ocean that once carried our ancestors into bondage must now provide an opportunity to reconnect their descendants in a common pursuit of justice, peace, and shared prosperity. The sacrifices of those who came before us places a solemn responsibility upon our generation. It places a responsibility to strengthen our democracy. It places a responsibility to strengthen accountability. We must build inclusive economics that create opportunities for all our people. We must champion justice and equality. And we must ensure that Africa and the Caribbean take their rightful place as equal partners in shaping a more peaceful, prosperous, and inclusive world. And so let this visit mark the beginning of an even stronger partnership between Ghana and Jamaica. Let it inspire greater investment. Let it deepen cooperation between our institutions. Let it strengthen the bonds between us. And let it demonstrate to the world that a shared history can become the foundation for shared prosperity. As we celebrate the 70th anniversary of Ghana's independence, I wish to thank Prime Minister Andrew Holness for accepting in advance my invitation to be one of our special guests of honor. Together, let us honor our past by building a future worthy of the sacrifice of our ancestors, a future founded on justice, a future sustained by peace, a future driven by innovation, and a future in which Africa, the Caribbean, and the global African family stand together as architects of a more just, more equitable world. On behalf of the government and people of Ghana, I congratulate the government and people of Jamaica on the celebration of Emancipation Day and the 64th anniversary of your independence. May the friendship between Ghana and Jamaica continue to flourish. May Africa and the Caribbean continue to stand together in unity and common purpose. May God bless Jamaica, may God bless Ghana, and may God bless the enduring friendship between our two people. I thank you.
Well, you heard President John Dramani Mahama addressing the Jamaican Parliament as part of his official visit to the country. We'll bring you details about that particular visit in our subsequent bulletin. You're still watching The Pulse. We'll take a short break. We'll return with more. Stay with us.
On PM Express, power is confronted, claims are tested, and accountability is not optional.
The first 2 months in office between January, February, and March, we had already brought down this rate, and then we have sustained it since.
Politics, business, the economy, social justice. If it affects your life, it will be examined. If it shapes your future, it will be interrogated.
You ever sitting there today and you see me sweating, I'm answering your question, you in the comfort of your chair putting all these questions to me. That is why you would not have the responsibility of bringing about this document.
No safe spaces for evasion, no comfort in half-truths, just facts, pressure, and the courage to stay with the question until the answer comes. Your word says, my words were, those on Compact Plus, you pay $570 and you get more channels.
Evans,
that moves you.
This is the speech.
To
the speech I read yesterday is what I'm holding here. You didn't read the speech. You didn't write it. I wrote it and I read it.
Because democracy demands scrutiny and the public deserves clarity. When the day's noise fades and the nation needs understanding, there is PM Express on Joy News. Independent, fearless, credible.
Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us here on The Pulse. Let's talk Greek. Because CryoChain is a Ghanaian initiative using cold chain infrastructure, renewable energy technology, and a direct trade to tackle post-harvest losses, strengthen food security, create skilled jobs, and help reverse the country's brain drain. The project aligns with Ghana's Region 17 vision and the government 24-hour economy agenda by actually attracting diaspora expertise and investment. A key part of that vision is its flagship or partnership with Akufo-Addo Technical University to establish a cold chain agri-tech and applied technology ecosystem hub in the Eastern region. Well, on the program this afternoon, we'll be exploring CryoChain's vision, its potential to transform Ghana's agricultural value chain, and also drive innovation and sustainable economic growth, and, of course, the opportunities it presents for government, investors, and development partners, and the diaspora. Well, joining me in the studio to do that is William McCoy. He is the co-founder and CEO of CryoChain. Also in studio is Bafo Ohene Kena, the head of commercial and business development at CryoChain. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me here in the studio.
Thank you.
Well, tell us about the CryoChain concept. What is it about?
Yeah, so thanks again, Carlos, for having us on. It's inspired by two things. One, we saw as a diaspora, myself, Ghanaian descendant, we were looking for ways that we can connect. I know a lot of us as diaspora know the expression something small, what have you brought home to me, right? And it really is a calling to that. So two things that we tackle. One is post-harvest loss. Food security is a big issue with us. And then the second one is a tackling of keeping the best and brightest minds here in Ghana instead of them having going out. And we're able to do that solution under one hub. through the cryo chain hub that we have, bringing back something small, but not just in the way of something small, but something larger in the sense that we hope to create impact and make this a model for the future.
I see. So how is this actually going to help address post-harvest losses?
So post-harvest losses in general is not necessarily an agriculture problem alone. For me, it's more like there's a system failure there, which touches on different things. I'll name a few. It touches on energy. So CryoChain addresses that energy problem by going sustainable. We're using solar and setting up a hub at the farm gate, close to the farm. So this is why we've started in Akufo-Addo.
So it's all solar-based?
So it's not necessarily all solar-based. It'll be grid-tied as well. But then the solar will ensure that we have consistent power supply. Now, secondly, we are looking at having refrigerated EV trucks to do the logistics, which is the second system failure. So you find that a lot of the time we depend on diesel-powered trucks, which obviously as diesel goes up,
of course,
goes up with it. By going EV, we have a little bit more control there. Having them refrigerated also ensures that the food doesn't necessarily go bad before it reaches the market. So with this, the third one that we're also looking to address is the technology aspect, which has been missing in the warehousing space.
Right.
Looking to integrate technology to ensure that everything happens very smartly. So yeah.
And how is this actually going to benefit farmers?
So farmers in particular are very excited about this. We've engaged a few over the past few weeks, and they derive so much benefit from this in the sense that if you think about it, currently the farmers' post-harvest losses accounts about 50%, sometimes 40, sometimes 60, depending on the crop. And that is not necessarily because the farmers don't know where to sell, but it's because, like I said before, there is no proper way to get it to the market. CryoChain is positioning itself as a off-taker for the farmers as well. By having access to refrigerated warehouses, which a cold chain really is, it extends the shelf life of the produce. So instead of panic selling to middlemen who will come and exploit you.
Especially when it comes to the perishable goods like tomato, watermelon, and all those.
Exactly. That's right. So now they have that extended shelf life that allows them to relax and negotiate a much better rate. We are positioned as an off-taker of that as well. So then what that means is that the goods that would have gone into the spoilage now goes into their pocket. And they don't even necessarily need to farm additionally. They are farming the same quantities, but now making money from that.
And how is that actually going to benefit consumers also?
Okay, so I guess we are all consumers. So for the consumer, this is a fantastic opportunity. I'm a consumer and I've seen how prices fluctuate. For the consumer, you get fresh and safe foods on the market right away. And for price stability, I think that's the biggest motivator for us. You see that because the food stays longer on the shelf or stays in storage longer or preserved longer, prices will remain stable because there's no rush to get it out of into the market or get rid of it.
Let me come to you then. Beyond reducing post-harvest losses and all that, what economic benefit do you think this technology has for the country?
Yeah, so Carlos, there's two major economic benefits that it'll have, right? One is obviously we're going to reduce waste. We're going to reduce post-harvest loss. That's a huge thing. Give you an example. Almost $2 billion is lost in post-harvest loss every single year in Ghana. $2 billion USD, right? That's a lot of money. On the flip side of that, we import about $2 billion. So there's two things that we're tackling. We're substituting, right, with our own products, and then we're making value add by being able to take those products, process them, provide value add to them. The second part about it that we're doing as far as economic impact is that if you think about what this is going to spur on, particularly when it comes to our relationships with using some of these young people as skilled labor, that skilled labor stays here. It doesn't go out of the country. Almost 70,000 young people, skilled labor, leave Western Africa to go leave. That's a lot of skilled labor that we lose.
I get it.
These are going to be people who are working there, and instead of just getting theory, they're getting practical knowledge. So it provides a beachhead for companies like Google or NVIDIA to come in and say, okay, I have skilled labor right on the soil. I can go ahead and get started. By us being able to do those two things, we think the impact would be huge.
I see. Going through your document, I see something you call Region 17.
Yeah.
And what is it?
So Region 17, I want to, we just had John Mahama, so this is the perfect time to bring.
Because we have 16 regions in Ghana. So when I saw Region 17, I was wondering, are you creating a new region for us?
Perfect, right? So one of the things that we were inspired by with this is that Region 17 goes back to what John Mahama was talking about. He actually named the diaspora the 17th region.
Okay.
It'd be people like me, right? By him doing that, it spurred on people like the Honorable Victor Emmanuel Smith, the U.S. ambassador from Ghana.
Victor Smith?
Yep, Victor Smith, to go ahead and say, hey, look, we should be creating ways for people to connect. I came from that. I've come from those efforts at Region 17 of being able to connect with diaspora and say, look, I like your idea, bring it to Ghana, right? The second part about it is that from doing that, they're also saying to themselves, okay, now how do we bring in investors at the same time? They need proof. So we are like the poster child for that, right? Because we're coming out of that, and now we're documenting this process. And so what will end up happening with Region 17 is that we will come through, there'll be other innovation companies that come through, and we'll be able to create a situation where the 7.8 billion that comes in through remittance is not just going to consumerism, it's actually going to things that are infrastructure that are going to make impact on the soil. Big shout out to Mabana Webb and also Rosca. They were instrumental in making this happen, as well as the ambassador.
What has been the impact so far?
Yeah, so I'm a perfect impact. What this does, and what it has done for us specifically, is that there has been time periods where a lot of people will say, hey, look, I don't know how to get in. I don't know how to meet the ministries. I don't know how to meet resources or business resources or whatever else it may be. Region 17 has allowed me to be able to have direct communication with these ministries. Go in and say, here's an idea, and get support. Business support, registration support, being able to go into the GIPC support, do all these things that is typically seen as hard for people. We're able to do that through this initiative, Region 17.
I see. Interesting. It sounds so interesting. But let me come to you, Bafo. What kind of jobs and skills will this whole technology and this initiative actually bring to the ordinary Ghanaian who is actually looking for a job and also get some new skills to be able to, up their income and all that? Okay.
So let me first start by touching on unemployment. So I think the last time I checked the data, I think it was last year, unemployment was around 14.7 or 15%. And currently there are a lot of nurses, about 500 nurses leave the country every month. Now most of these people leaving the country aren't necessarily doing that because they want to leave, but it's because there are very few opportunities available in Ghana for them now. Now, what CryoChain gives them the opportunity to do is, by partnering with the KTU University or the Akufo-Addo Technical University, we're creating a platform where we'll have people who can manage EV fleets, refrigeration engineers, managers, HR, sales. I think the list is endless with the possibilities that it presents. And also by partnering with KTU, this also creates an opportunity for entrepreneurial-minded individuals to come in and create startups similar to what happened with Stanford University, Silicon Valley. I'm sure you know that story already. So this is a platform that will allow job creation on many fronts.
I see. Sounds so interesting. But you already talking about the partnership with KTU. Yeah. What is in that partnership?
Yeah, so that partnership was huge. We were looking for a way to make sure that we were using people on soil and not bringing them in. I had to look at different opportunities to be able to do it, or different examples. So if you think back to what HP did with Stanford back in 1959, it's created one of the biggest booms in history when it comes to innovation, right? Most recently, it's been Toyota and the University of Ghana. That spurred me on to say, well, what university is in the eastern region that we could take advantage of? And oh my God, there is KTU.
Okay.
Akufo-Addo Technical University.
Why not a university in the capital?
Well, so here's the problem. The issue starts at the farm gate. Where does the farm gate happen? In the eastern region. So why not go ahead and take it?
But we are not farming in Greater Accra region, max.
Right, exactly. We're farming there, and we're trying to solve the problem right there at that door. We have great universities here. KTU is a well-known technical university. And so in that MOU that we have with them now, it's a couple things. It's one, a framework for internship. So young people will be able to go from theory to technical knowledge right inside of our hubs. Co-design, so they're going to be able to co-design curriculum with us to make sure that this is happening so that people can come and actually have jobs. And then actual jobs, right? Some of these people will come intern for us, we'll hire them. And this will be our model, we hope, for going out and hitting other areas. So it really is a situation where we're not just saying, hey, we would love to be able to use our people here, but what is a structured way of making this happen? And our MOU with KTU has made that possible.
And any signs of impact so far? How long has the partnership been?
So we literally signed it July. Right?
Oh, just last month?
We really decided last month.
Okay.
But we've already been in communication with some of the young people. They're super excited. They're already telling us about their ideas and things that they want to bring to the table. So the impact has been, it's spurring on a lot of other innovation. And we hope that as we build these other hubs throughout the country, this will be our model. KTU will be our model.
Tell us about the timelines for the construction of this project. Let me come to you, Bafo, on that.
Okay, sure. So we're looking at breaking ground between Q4 this year and Q1 next year. So this will be the first of many to come. Okay. Ultimately, I think we're targeting about 15 hubs nationwide. We will start off with this one within that time frame, and within about 6 months or about a year from there, we will start moving outwards all the way to Bolgatanga. So we will touch on.
So the first one will be in the eastern region?
In Koforidua.
Okay.
So we start in Koforidua, and we'll gradually move towards Nsawam, Suhum, and then move towards Kumasi, and then move towards Tamale, Bolga. We'll also move eastward towards Volta as well. So we'll be across the country by 2030, between 2030 and 2033. That is our target, to cover the entire country. But to answer your question, the first one will be targeting Q4 this year or Q1 next year.
Okay, my final question to you. How can investors take advantage of this huge opportunity?
You know, so that's a great question, Carlos. So investors, I want to tell you that we have been happily welcomed by a few people. One, Guzi Tanoff of the Secretariat 24-Hour Economy has been super central. We're aligning right now for a joint venture. The Secretary, the Deputy, Amelia Hart from Fisheries, and then also John DeMello from Food and Agriculture. For investors, if you're looking to take advantage of being in, go to Region 17, talk to them. For our investors out there who are interested in CrowdChain, please contact us. We're looking to enter into a joint development agreement. It's going to be huge, and so we're looking for specifically people who are interested in coming back and using that capital to actually build infrastructure.
Is the Ministry of Food and Agriculture playing any role so far?
Yes, they have. So they've been very instrumental in giving us both information about farmers, right, telling us what farmers grow so that we can make sure that we design our hubs around them, also introducing us to farmers, and also allowing us with our Feed Ghana program.
William McCoy, thank you so much for speaking to us, as well as Bafo Ohene Kena for speaking to us here on The Pulse.
Thank you, Carlos.
Well, stay with us. We'll come back with NSMQ. Well, the stars of Anglo shone brightest as Anglo SHS crushed the hopes of Jujapenyi SHS and Chito SHTS to claim the Volta regional ticket to the 2026 National Science and Math Quiz Championship. For Jujapenyi SHS and Chito SHTS, the national dream ended in heartbreak as the stars of Anglo produced a commanding performance on the NSMQ stage. Well, let's cross over now to the Volta region where my colleague Ramat Bashiru has been following the qualifiers. Ramat, take us through how the contest actually unfolded.
Carlos, it was a contest that from the very beginning belonged to Alon SHS because they dominated all the rounds, answering questions accurately and even taking advantage of bonus opportunities. Their opponents, Jijopeni SHS and Teacher SHTSS, try the battle hard so that they can also meet the pace. However, the widened gap Jijopeni Alon SHS gave was simply very difficult for their opponent to overcome. And then came round 4 to determine the winner of the contest. They were able to answer 3 riddles correctly, widening the gap, ending the contest with 65 points. For the student of Alon Senior High School, this is just a great testament that they are indeed the stars of Alon.
Echo, the star of Angola. 65 points. You've made your final comeback to the national stage of the National Science and Maths Quiz Championship. How does the feeling look like?
So we are actually proud. This is just to announce our presence in the upcoming contest. That will be the nationals. So we are well prepared for any school that will come on our way. So this call is just to announce our presence.
Are you people very sure you are happy that you've won this contest?
Yes.
Of course. So let me engage you. In the auditorium, from the beginning, in as much as your boys dominated the contest, what was going through you?
The contest, I'll tell you, was nothing short of electric. It was mesmerizing from beginning all the way onto the end. I had, it was beyond my expectations. It was electric. Nothing short of electric.
So he says the contest was nothing short of electric. No, come, let me engage you too. How do you also feel? How do you also feel about the boys in prayer?
I'm actually excited. No, it's been a tough journey, but then with the boys, I'm sure we'll get there. Okay, very soon. We'll get there. We are there already. All right. This is just to tell them that we are coming, so they should be prepared. And they should watch out for part 2. This is just part 1. Part 1. So we have 2.0 on the way. Okay.
Interesting. Now, you were also able to win the Goyo Riddle Bonanza. Are you sure you can keep up with this performance at the national stage?
Yes, we are very sure of that. We are sure of that because of our preparation towards this contest. We know that we will do marvelous things in the national aspect.
Anseko, God bless you for forever and ever. Me too. Nam ya clear.
Well, away from that, Ghana Water Limited has announced a 3-day planned maintenance exercise on the Kpong-Tema transmission pipelines, which is expected to affect water supply to parts of Accra and surrounding communities. The exercise, scheduled for August 6 to 8, will involve the replacement of over 300 meters of deteriorated pipeline sections to improve the reliability of water supply. Let's bring you details of that in a statement shortly we'll be putting on your screen, released by the Ghana Water Limited. Now, the statement was released today, 4th August 2026, and it says Ghana Water Limited to undertake plant maintenance works on Kpong-Tema transmission pipelines. And it reads, Ghana Water Limited wishes to inform its cherished customers and the public that it will undertake planned maintenance works involving the isolation and replacement of weak sections on the 21-inch and 42-inch transmission pipelines between Kpong and Tema from Thursday 6 August to Saturday 8 August 2026. The exercise forms part of the company's proactive infrastructure maintenance program aimed at improving the reliability, efficiency and sustainability of water supply to customers. Routine engineering assessment have identified more than 300 meters of deteriorated sections along the transmission pipelines that require urgent replacement to prevent major pipeline failures, reduce water losses, and ensure reliable water supply. Now, the statement goes on to say to facilitate the maintenance work safely and efficiently, the Kpong water treatment plant will be temporarily shut down while 5 sections of varying length of the transmission pipeline are isolated for replacement. As a result, customer supply by the Kpong water supply system are expected to experience temporary interruptions in water supply and reduce water pressure throughout the maintenance period. Well, for more on this, we have been joined by the PRO for the Ghana Water Company Limited, Stanley Martin. Grateful to have you here on the pulse. You've told us what really necessitated this maintenance exercise. But how critical are the identified weak sections of the pipeline?
Okay, so when we pump water from Kpong into our reservoir in Tema, we realize that we lose about 50 to 60% of the water. So then we're not getting enough water for the people within the enclave that they're supposed to serve. And so it was necessary that we repair the pipeline so that we at least we can get enough water for the people. We can't produce water and lose 50% to just the bush and the farmers. But some of the areas that we identified were perforations by farmers. And so if we don't have them replaced, then that could continue this affected us such that we may not get enough water for the people. So it was that serious. And that is why we have invested in fabricating new pipelines and to change the weaker sections, and then the sections that we've identified to be used by or being used by farmers and livestock farmers and all that. Yeah.
And you said these 5 sections have been identified between Tema and Kpong. Which specific places are we talking about? I know that last time you did some at Bechile Junction. This one, which particular sections?
I may not be able to tell you exactly, but Friday we are going to go to the site to the media, then we can locate exactly. But for now, where I am, I wouldn't be able to tell you that it's this place or that place. But we have identified the 5 sections. We are going to go there with the media. We're going to get you some videos of work being undertaken, so that you can be able to appreciate them very well.
So as we speak now, you are pumping water, right?
Yes. Yes. We'll shut down on Thursday. And then we shut down Wednesday in the evening, start work, allow the water to drain in the pipelines. And then Thursday morning, we'll start with the project. And then we'll work throughout the period until we are done in Saturday. And then when we finish on Saturday, we'll start production immediately after. We are hopeful that when we start production on Saturday in the evening, between Sunday and Monday, pressure should be able to build up for customers to start getting water.
Right, but our checks on the ground, specifically in Bechile area, Mataheko, Tema Community 25, Saki, Bediakon, Pram area, Deftraco area, they've not had water for weeks. Why?
Okay, so let us finish with this project, and then let's see what happens after. Because we expect to see some improvement after this project has been done. So let's wait. Let's finish this thing. By next week, we'll be able to identify reasons why some of these places have not had water for a very long time.
Okay, beyond Tema Community 25, we understand that Teshi also for weeks now have not had water. They are actually not on the Kpong pipeline. Why?
So the desal plant has been off since October last year. So we're serving them from Kpong since October. Okay, so they get water Thursdays and Fridays, and then Ngwa gets part of. Ngwa also gets water on Fridays and Saturdays, and they're all getting from Pong currently.
You said they are getting water currently?
Yeah, they are getting water currently from Pong.
Well,
from the Pong, because the desal is down, and it has been down since October. So when we are done with this work, we expect that we'll see more improvement in the system.
Well, residents we've been speaking to in the area, even this afternoon, are telling us for 3 weeks, they've not had water.
And that is why I'm saying that just exercise patience. Let us finish this job over the weekend, and then next week we expect to see some improvement in the pipelines. We are going to monitor to identify all these areas, and then we'll see how best we can have them solved. For now, I wouldn't want to say anything. I want us to finish this job. When we are done, we'll do more work, and then we'll be able to tell.
Okay, let's go back to the pipeline repair. We know that the pipeline that comes from Pong to the Tema area has been a steel pipeline. You're going to do some work there. Are you going to use the same steel pipeline, or what material this time are you going to do?
Yes, the same steel pipeline. There are some areas where we'll have to use HDPE pipelines. But this one, we have fabricated new steel pipelines. And then that is what we are going to use for the replacement.
And you said the work is expected to last for some 5 days?
From Thursday to Saturday. And we are hopeful that we'll be able to complete the job on Saturday and start production immediately. So our expectation is that by Sunday, people should start getting water.
Some residents...
The system should be able to charge enough for people to get water.
Okay. Some residents have also raised concerns about what they describe as a cartel that is actually controlling water supply in Tema Community 25 area. And the places have mentioned that even though the taps do not flow into their homes. Commercial entities are getting the water, and water tankers are now going to take this water and resell to them. Have these concerns come to the attention of the Ghana Water Company Limited?
Not that I'm aware of, but we have stopped tanker drivers from fetching from our hydrant. And let us hope. It is because of the scarcity of water. Let us finish this work. We expect to see some improvement in the pipelines. We'll do more work, we'll do more assessment of the system, and see areas that were hitherto not getting water and now maybe getting water, or areas where even after the job they are still getting water, and then we'll still put in some programs and some mechanisms to ensure that they get water. But these are allegations, and so when they come to us, we pick them on, we do investigations before we take actions on them.
What level of improvement are we going to be seeing after this work?
Now, we're losing about 40 to 50% of the water from Pong into our Tema booster station. Now, when we are able to finish this job, we expect that we are going to get over 90% of the water being treated into the system, so that we should see some improvement in the water, because we are going to get more water into our reservoirs, so we should be able to serve more people.
In other words, you are trying to cut the losses by some 40%.
Exactly so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Salimate, for speaking to us here on The Pulse. You're still watching The Pulse with me, Carlos Kaloni. We'll take a short break. We'll return with more. Stay with us. Welcome back. But before we go, mining company Better Land Ghana Limited has responded to concerns raised by some residents of Jura Banso over its operations in the Draw River Forest Reserve. The resident, in a report aired by Joy News, called on government to revoke the company's mining lease, warning that its operations could threaten the forest and surrounding water bodies. Better Land, however, insists it is operating lawfully under the required regulatory approvals and has rejected claims that it is engaged in illegal mining. Ina Thalia Kwanzaa has the details.
Days after some residents of Dra Banso raised concerns over Better Land, Ghana Limited's operation in the Dra River Forest Reserve, the company is defending its presence in the area. Better Land says, contrary to claims by some residents, it is a licensed large-scale mining company with a valid mining lease as well as approval from the Environmental Protection Agency and the Forestry Commission. The company also rejects allegation that it is engaged in illegal mining.
As to the mining lease, Better Land has a mining lease and it's not a prospecting license. You know, in Ghana, you need basically three things to be able to do mining. And you need the mining lease from the Minerals Commission, you need the EPA permit, and then that of the Forestry Commission. Better Land Ghana has a real mining lease that allows it to do a large-scale mining. Better Land, as a large-scale mining company, we are committed to responsible mining. We are a large-scale mining company. We are not a small-scale mining company, which is into the illegal thing that is being done.
The Community Relations and Security Coordinator Samuel Awuze says the company has consistently engaged chiefs, opinion leaders and residents since the licensing process began and remains open to dialogue with anyone seeking clarification about its operation. According to him, Better Land's current activities involves expanded exploration, which he says is a standard practice for large-scale mining companies before full-scale mining begins. He also dismissed calls for the revocation of the company's approvals, describing them as being based on misinformation.
You see, the calls for the revocation are based on misinformation and misrepresentation. You know, our permits were lawfully granted, and like I said, we operate transparently within Ghana's mining laws. So, as I said earlier, we still welcome dialogue with the resident, and then we also would like to clarify the fact and dispel all the falsehood and then the misinformation being put out there. We know there are vested interests in there. If you know where we operate very well, it's, I would say, it's illegal mining environment. So we do not fault the few people who think that Better Land Ghana as a large-scale mining company is also into illegal mining.
The debate over mining activities in the Dra River Forest Reserve, however, continues.
Well, that's how we wrap up the Pulse this afternoon. You can log on to myjoyonline.com for more stories. My name is Carlos Caloni. Thank you so much for watching. Bye-bye.